The following program is brought to you by Naleo TV, the People's Platform.
Hi, my name is Jane Hoff. I am a forensic anthropologist. I moved back to Hilo about 20 years ago and decided to write a mystery based on my past experiences, where I worked for police departments, medical examiners' offices, and taught in universities. My first book, my first mystery, was called The Bones of Paradise. And I wanted to use bits of my old cases, but I also wanted to set it in Hilo because I wanted Hawaii to be part of the story. When I was ready to write my second mystery in the series, I had in mind to knock over, fictionally, a banyan tree on Banyan Drive. But I got so interested in the trees, the people who planted them, and why they were in Hilo, that I paused the second mystery book and wrote a walking guide to Banyan Drive called The Trees of Banyan Drive. And I spoke about this in a previous segment of this show. I'm here today to talk about the book, which is the result of that research on Banyan Drive, and it's called The Bones of Banyan Drive. Now, I'd like to read the very beginning of this mystery. I don't want to read the end because I don't want to give away the plot. What you need to know from the beginning is that I made up the Hawaii State Medical Examiner's Office. Hawaii doesn't have a medical examiner system. It's called HSME in the book. And there are three people talking in this first chapter. One of them is Miriam Charles. Her nickname is Mimi, and she has a cold. The second person is John Harding. He's a death investigator for the Department of, or the State Medical Examiner's Office, and he has a deeper voice, and he's from Texas. And the third person speaking is Sam Morris, who is the chief medical examiner. He has an even deeper voice, and he's Hapahali. So I set myself up to try to read these three completely different voices. There's one more person mentioned here who is only referred to as Ortiz. He's a reporter, and he's in the first book and in this book, pesky. Oh, and I would also like to tell you that when I wrote this book, I dedicated it to Nicholas McDaniel. And I'd like to read the dedication. It says, "This book is dedicated to Officer Nicholas McDaniel, who died in the line of duty in Post Falls, Idaho, where he moved after serving on the Hawaii County Police Force for 13 years. With his permission and to his delight, he inspired Mick in this book and in this series. In these books, Mick is portrayed as young and inexperienced, but in real life, Nick was a kind, experienced, and dedicated officer." So this begins with John's voice. "You up yet?" I had staggered out of bed and into my office to reach the telephone, so technically I wasn't lying when I lied and said, "Yes, I'm up." John asks me the same question every time he calls, day or night. And day or night, I refuse to admit whether he has aroused me, wakened me. You know what I mean. "Are you sure?" he said. "Your voice sounds..." "I'm fine." I tried to snap that answer, but John was right. Due to the vestiges of a cold, my voice sounded like Winston Churchill at the end of the war. "All right," he said slowly. "Then there's a head in a tree." "A whole head? Does it have skin and hair on it?" "No, it's just a cranium." "In a tree? Are you sure it's human?" Dr. Morris seems convinced that it is. It's in the roots of a banyan that fell over last night. Hang on. I heard the scraping, shuffling sounds of the cell phone being passed from hand to hand. Then another male voice, this one even deeper, and with a Hawaiian softness to it, said, "Mimi?" "Sam, John says you've got a head in a tree." "No, you got a head in a tree," he said. "You and John. I've got 2 autopsies scheduled today. How soon do you think you can get here?" "Where's here?" I was relieved to note that my voice was becoming more reliable. "Oh, I thought John told you. We're in town, just down on Banyan Drive." "Hey!" I jerked the phone away from my head to protect my eardrum. "Hey!" Sam shouted again. "Stop that guy! John, get him the hell away from there! Get that guy out of there! How'd he get past the tape? How'd a bugger get past the tape?" There was a confusion of shouts and background voices, and then I heard the unmistakable sound of the phone hitting the ground. I took advantage of the break in our conversation to blow my nose. Then I gingerly settled onto the cold vinyl seat of my office chair. "Mimi?" Sam said. "You still there?" "Yep, still here. What happened?" "It's your friend Ortiz. He was..." "And don't let him back. You hear? Keep him out. He like one cockroach. Damn it." A moment of silence ensued before Sam said in a carefully calmed voice, "Sorry, Mimi, where was I?" "You just called Ortiz my friend." "Well, you know I didn't mean it." I shivered and pulled my knees to my chest, tucking them carefully inside my thin sleep shirt. I should have thrown it away long ago. Holes were forming along the seams, but it had belonged to Jay and I couldn't part with it. Not yet. "So," I prompted Sam, "John says there's a cranium in a tree?" "Right, that's right. Sometime during the night, one of the big banyans down here fell. I'm not sure why, because it doesn't look rotten or anything, but it fell into the road and it just missed taking down another tree in the median strip. There's debris everywhere." "Was anybody hurt?" "No, fortunately, but the tree took down the electrical lines to the hotels." "That's not good." "No, it isn't. The power company is going to have to clear a few tons of branches before they can get to those fallen lines." Sam took a long, deep breath, and then he said, "But they can't start work until you get here." "Because there's a head in a tree?" "Precisely. The power guys were just cranking up their chainsaws when one of them saw it dangling up there in the roots. It's about, 20 or 30 feet in the air. You ever seen anything like this before?" "Not in Hawaii," I said, "but once when I lived on the Gulf Coast, a hurricane had toppled a bunch of old oaks out in the bayou, and an archaeologist friend asked me to go out there with him before pot hunters arrived to..." "People hunt pot in the South?" "No, Sam," I said. "Pot hunters are people who loot archaeological sites. They're looking for old clay pots, stuff like that. Pots, pot hunters." "Oh, I get it. But back up a second, Mimi. Are you saying this could be archaeological?" "You know perfectly well I'm not saying that. I haven't even seen it yet." Another shiver ran through me and I hugged my knees closer. "But it's got to be as old as the tree it was under, right? And this tree looks really old, big." Then Sam lowered his voice and said, "Nobody else has noticed yet, but there's a mandible down in the crater where the roots used to be. Does it look human?" "You're the expert, but I think I can safely say yes." "There could always be more than one body," I said, and I did not even try to sound innocent. You don't get to wake me up at the crack of dawn and escape without consequences. "Don't even think that," Sam said. "I've got enough problems already. The hotels don't have electricity, the street is closed, and now Ortiz is here. We really got to get started." "Well, why didn't you call me earlier?" "And okay." I was aware of the irony. "John wouldn't let me." "John wouldn't let you?" "He said you have a cold and it would be best not to bother you." "I had a cold," I said. "It's pretty much gone now. Besides, how would John know?" "Well, I don't know, Mimi. It's John. He just..." "Can you hurry? The hotels need their electricity back on." "I'll try," I said, rising from my chair. "Where on Banyan Drive are you?" not far from the intersection by Moku'ola. But you can't miss us. There's a huge banyan tree blocking the road. Got it, I said. Give me half an hour. And by the way, whose tree was it? What? Who planted the tree? I don't know, Sam said. The sign's buried under the branches. The sign for the next tree over says King George V. And I think our tree's scraped against Cecil B. DeMille in the median strip. That's something you don't hear every day. Yeah, maybe, I don't know. Sam's voice faded as he turned his head towards some distraction. Give me about 40 minutes. You said 30 before. I've got to get back to the office. I got 2 autopsies scheduled today. Got it the first time, I said. I'll be there as soon as I can. Bye. There's a slight break in the story here, and Mimi starts to get ready. I wiped steam from the bathroom mirror and leaned in close. There were a lot of tragic sunset colors going on. The evil virus finally vacating my body had left my blue eyes rimmed with pink and my eye sockets edged with light purple shadows. And my nose? I tried applying various magic potions to it, but nothing helped, so I layered on an extra coat of mascara as a diversion. I know, I get it. People were waiting for me, but I'm not an animal, for heaven's sake. I pulled my damp copper curls into a ponytail, then I snapped some gold hoop earrings into place and checked my teeth for lipstick. On my way out of the house, I put a dab of yogurt on the courtyard table, then I tapped the pebbled glass with my fingernail to summon Zephyr, a casualty of my no geckos in the house policy. A week before, I had tried to locate him to the outdoors, but he had panicked. Now I felt like I owed him some extra protein while his tail regenerated. Within 5 minutes, I was cruising down Wainui Avenue through the cool shadows of tropical rainforest. When I passed the hospital, I checked the parking lot it shares with the Hawaii State Medical Examiner's office. It was unusual to see it empty of the cars I know so well, but what was I expecting? Obviously, Sam and John and I weren't there. When my cell phone rang, I checked the caller ID and felt an involuntary smile lift the corners of my mouth. You okay with heights? I suppose it would have been redundant for John to ask me whether I was up again yet. Sure, I said. I think so. Why are you asking? What kind of heights are you talking about? John? He had hung up, one of his less than endearing habits. I'd like to thank Island Storybook for doing this interview. It's important for people to read, and I think that these books that I've written are a really good way for you to enjoy a story and also to read about something familiar, because these all take place in Hilo. The first book in the series, Bones of Paradise. The second book in the series, The Bones of Banyan Drive. And most of you have seen Banyan Drive. And then there's the walking book, Walking Guide to Banyan Drive, which I think you'd really enjoy. It's a short book. It's easy to read. I think children could read it even. The other two are a bit more for adults or teens. These books are all available at the public library, and they're also available in Hilo bookstores and Kona bookstores and online. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope this starts you or allows you to continue a happy reading experience.
Special mahalo to Basically Books for supporting literacy here on Hawaii Island. Naleo TV wants to encourage reading and writing in an ever-changing digital world. Reading is a fundamental skill that opens up a world of knowledge, imagination, and personal growth. Mahalo for tuning in to this episode of Island Storybook. Check out our website, naleo.tv, for more videos on demand and get ready for the next story we find.